Alright, I just want to work a little bit on this fabric. Now, the reason why I don't want to work too much on it is because you probably, I could be wrong, I don't know, I've got to test this, but I'm going to take a wild guess that you can't even see in the photo what is happening in there because it's extremely black. So I'm just going to I'm just going to work on the edge a little bit, a little minimal part of this fabric just to show you how I'd go about doing it. So this thing, you know, is wrapping around this cast shadow that her arm is casting on the fabric, and then I'm combining that with this convex line. So what you want to do is you want to wrap some of this stuff around, okay, and then you know you want to look for abstract shadow shapes. So there's like a little abstract shadow shape like right over there of the underplane. It actually doesn't look like that. It looks a little bit different. One moment. I didn't quite get that, but I'm sure it doesn't matter because you can probably barely see what I'm doing. But I'm just going to shade this shape, and then I'm going to come on in with another one. And basically all these things are just what I talked about on the initial drawing. They're all cylinders. So they have a top plane and they have an underplane. So you just want to kind of do the top plane, underplane, light and dark within the dark shirt. And then you want to do the convex line. And then think about your pencil stroke and the way that that is going. So you could physically have your pencil strokes wrap around, but I don't think I'm going to do it that way. I don't necessarily like the way that would look right now on this drawing. Maybe subtly, like I'll do like one or two that wrap around to show the viewer like what it is that I'm physically drawing. But I think most of my work is on this shirt. If I spent like forever on it, is going to be done on the edge, and it's going to wrap in, and then I'm just going to match the value of the shirt as I eventually work on it. I'm probably going to work on this drawing outside of the camera, and you'll see this drawing at the end of this DVD on a slide finished. So I'm just going to work on this little section for another 2 minutes, and then we're going to move on to a complicated fabric. So in this DVD I've got 3 fabrics. I've got simple fabric that we're doing right now. This is as simple as it's going to get. And then I have complicated fabric, and then I have a very complicated dress with all different textures on it. Shiny textures, matte textures, you know, lace and all that ribbon. So I think you're going to get the most out of that. What is a common fabric that a lot of artists have to render is jean. And I don't know if I'm going to have that on this DVD. Maybe I'll have it as an online tutorial. I'm not sure yet, but jeans are something that when I used to paint book covers, I painted hundreds of pairs of jeans in my day on kids on book covers. So jeans are what I can do best, and jeans are actually kind of cool to render because of their texture. And you know, it's fun to do the texture. And with jeans, you just really paying attention to all the stitching, like on the pockets and where they sewed the different pieces of fabric together, and that helps you show the form. So yeah, I'm just kind of wrapping around with that like little thing showing you the form over here, and then match this value. So you can see this is kind of coming around a little bit. There should be, if I'm going to be a purist and try to kind of like render this thing, convex line right over here in that like little crease, it would be all black, the shirt, and dark tones in the light. Okay, so let me just kind of push this a couple more lines and underplane, trash all this. You can see that I worked on her head a little bit and her hair. That was really just to get a head start on this drawing, and honestly, for practice. Okay, so the last thing that I'm going to say in the last few seconds is, as you're doing this, don't separate her hair from the shirt. Just kind of blend them both in together. So, okay, so the last thing is just to keep going. And this is kind of a little bunched up fabric over there. Let me just do a couple of lines. Okay, let's call this drawing done. I think you get the idea. We'll come back to it. Basically what I did when the camera was shut off, because there's not enough time on this DVD for me to do this, is I matched the value of the fabric a little bit more to distinguish between a black shirt and a middle tone fabric skirt. So basically what I did was I matched the value and I drew these like little shapes over here. So there's like a sideways skinny triangle. We've got kind of like an oval shape over here for that shadow shape. So I'm wrapping in with my line. I'm matching the value. This thing is like cast shadow that her arm is casting on her body. Wraps around. This is more of like a triangle. When you draw fabric, there's lots of triangles that happen. So, I'm still a little sloppy with this. I'm going to clean it up as I go, but this really wraps around too. I get a little lighter, and then we've got that crease in the fabric. So basically, now you can see, and it's cleaned up, the negative space is cleaned up. You can see the difference between the skirt and the shirt, and now it's starting to look a little bit more fabricy over here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just keep coming on in and keep rendering this out, and I left this a little bit more contrasty than it really should be because all this is really in the shadow, but I left it contrasty so you can actually see it at home. And now what I would do is just do my pencil stroke in more like a circular scribbling motion just to soften like all that stuff out. I wouldn't necessarily go with that vertical the way that I did on the skirt. So I just want to show you that now. Let's move on to the next drawing.